Folks, we are now well into the afternoon of the 26th of October 2017, and it has been quite an interesting election. Yeah? Or can I say quite an interesting election? As anticipated, the voter turnout has been low. Okay? But what was probably not anticipated was just how low that voter turnout would be. Gosh, I mean, we're talking about 2%, 5%, and even more shocking, in perceived Jubilee strongholds, the voter turnout is just not there. In polling stations in Kiambu, the IEBC officials are just idling. Yeah, that's a Jubilee stronghold. Okay? Nyeri, turns out, is one of the few places where there was a respectable voter turnout. Now, this is after a very massive Jubilee campaign to get people to the polls. Yes? Now, some simple Kenyan people have been heard to say, hii ni aibu kwa Jubilee. Of course, one may say that such people do not really understand all the factors involved, but I have to say there's an element of truth in that statement. Massive advertising, massive rally, massive spending of funds. Yeah, one would have expected something better than this, honestly. Of course, it's also true that in some areas there's been very violent resistance to any voting happening. Yeah, we have to speak the truth, yes. And these are mostly NASA strongholds like Kibera and Luo Nyanza. Now, it is very interesting that we have tactics straight out of the Mahatma Gandhi script. Yeah, Mahatma Gandhi was one of the major freedom fighters for India's independence from the British, okay, and he used peaceful means. Now, what am I talking about when I say Mahatma Gandhi script? People are using human feces. Yes, you heard me right. They're being plastered on the walls, making the polling stations completely inaccessible. Yeah. Now, an interesting aside here. Actually, human waste was a very effective, very strong, vital tool in the Mahatma Gandhi peaceful campaign for independence. Yeah, yeah. As sickening and as gory as that sounds, really it was. Yeah. In fact, in some very memorable and bizarre incidences, what used to happen is that the Mahatma Gandhi supporters used to do something very strange. Immediately they saw maybe a colonial officer or somebody representing the colonial government coming, they would actually remove their clothes and actually do their business right there, whether it's on the road or a street, a building, wherever. Yeah? Gosh. And that was a silent, peaceful resistance that got India its independence. Kwa hivyo usidharau human feces, they can be quite powerful in freedom fighting. Anyway, in other parts, of course, the resistance has been the usual, yeah, violent protests. There are reports that protesters have overpowered police in areas of Luo Nyanza and in Kibra as well. Yes. And this is worrying because one wonders what will happen when the police receive reinforcements in that area. Definitely not a good, definitely not good news, not a good development that, okay? Anyway, let's also analyze what this means politically. Now, there's some stealing jobs that require a crowd, yeah, to act as a camouflage, okay? Like, for instance, if you're a pickpocket, it's a bit difficult to pickpocket in places where there are not many people, yeah? What a pickpocket loves are big crowds, yeah, so that you brush against people and pickpocket them, yeah? Your hand reaches quickly into their pockets, removes money, etc., etc., yeah? Now, it is the same with election rigging, yeah? You want large crowds at polling stations so that, when you do your fiddling, in all the confusion, it will be very difficult for people to detect. And so this very low voter turnout, especially in areas which are perceived to be Jubilee strongholds, and even in other areas which are not exactly Jubilee strongholds, but where Jubilee recorded a high or rather high vote count for the presidential candidate, people are asking the question, where are the voters? Where are the numbers? Okay, fine, we expected a low voter turnout, but the big question is, where is the fraction of the tyranny of numbers? You won by over 8 million votes, So where's the fraction of that 8 million? Yeah, because he has low voter turnout, but the fraction of a large number is still a respectable number. But that is not what we are seeing, which is leading to the conclusion amongst many Kenyan observers that the tyranny of numbers is actually a myth. Now, those of you who have been listening to this channel long enough already know that I've said here time and again that the tyranny of numbers is not only a myth, the tyranny of numbers is actually a tyranny of fraud against the Kenyan people. And surprise, surprise, this election of 26th has brought that out very, very clearly for all to see. Indeed, a few things now start to make sense, yeah? When Raila Odinga had already withdrawn from the presidential race, we saw a very aggressive campaign by Jubilee to get numbers to the polling stations, yeah? Very aggressive. And people asking, why are they campaigning so aggressively and there's no competition? Yeah, their main competitors withdrawn, therefore they should be very relaxed and wait for the elections. Yeah, there was that question. But now, there's a theory developing. Yeah, they were campaigning for the large numbers in order to hide, yeah, or to mask, yeah, the fact that the tyranny of numbers does not exist. Ladies and gentlemen, if we were to stick to the truth without any fear, without any emotion, without favoring any side, that is what is beginning to emerge. In other words, the presidential rerun of 26th October is exposing the lies and the fraud of the 8th of August. That is what is very, very clear on the ground for all Kenyans and for the whole world to see. Even somebody who has just arrived from Mars today, putting in all the facts together, will be able to see one thing very clearly, okay? Which has been hidden, or people have gone to great lengths to hide it from the public or to hide it from people being able to see clearly. And that is, NASA has the numbers, Jubilee does not seem to have the numbers. Yeah, I'm not giving an opinion, I'm just expressing from what I'm seeing. Because, for instance, behavior of the winning side after the annulment of the election, a winning side would be confident, a winning side would not panic to go and try and change laws. Yeah, a winning side would just be so confident, oh, that we're going to win by more votes, you know. Yeah, but you see, what you say in the mouth and what you act are two different things. And actions speak louder than words, so we're taking by the actions, yeah. Of course, the other actions are what has brought us to this crisis, yeah. Resistance to any changes or any alterations or any improvements at the IEBC. Resistance to any efforts to try and make the election free, fair, transparent, and accountable. Yeah, very strong resistance we've seen from Jubilee in that, towards that, yeah. And now today, the naked truth has come out for all to see. And it'll be quite difficult to sell some lies right now, because what has happened is that unlike on August 8th, the IEBC and the government have granted free access to the polling stations, yeah. We're getting pictures direct from polling stations. Yeah, the reporters are not being hindered the way they were being hindered on the 8th of August. Okay, so we're actually seeing the number of people coming in to vote. The numbers turning up actually being monitored countrywide. So in effect, what that happens, it makes cooking of results a bit difficult. You know, fiddling, you know, not fiddling to steal the election, but more or less fiddling to, you know, push up the numbers, you know, to exaggerate the numbers, make them much higher than actually what the turnout was, the actual vote was. And what will also be more interesting to keep a very close eye on are the number of spoiled votes. Because I have information, credible information, that there are a lot of people who walked into a polling station and they expressed their protest on the ballot paper. Some were putting an X on the whole ballot paper. Others were making it more clear and direct by writing in very large capital letters on the ballot paper, no reforms, no elections. Kenyans. Yep, that's how it was. Now, let's keep a very close eye on the final figures, yeah, that come in as to the number of people who voted. Let's keep a very close eye on that. Also, let's keep a very close eye on the number of spoiled votes. Okay, those two signals will be able to tell us very clearly and very quickly whether the numbers have been padded, you know, whether they've been jacked up, you know, exaggerated. Yeah. Until next time, this is Kshs Kumekucha.